Welcome to Model Horse Tack School. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to talk about hats. So if you want something that looks like this, buy them on the internet. I think somebody on Etsy had some. I bought these. They were red. I painted them brown, and now they're leaking all over everybody. The dye was all over the place. Or you can try to make something that looks like this. This is still the Western hat. It's just not your Stetson, okay? And let me tell you, hats. Let me show you some failures. I love showing off my failures. So, these are some felt ones. Just regular felt. Tried gluing them. They really needed to be sewed. It'll work, I think, if you give it some Mod Podge or something. So you could do felt. That was still trying to figure out the pattern. So then here's some. I'll show you some of these. This is wet felting. My first attempt at wet felting. Way too much fiber. Kind of almost got the shape, but there's just so much fiber, and that could be blocked. But it's just too much fiber. So then I got less fiber, and I had these wet felted, getting a little bit better at the shape, getting a little bit thinner. And then I did this one wet felting, and it got the shape, but the fiber was like really weak. And then this is really hard, and it's a lot of work. And I did wet felting with a resist medium, which means I wet felted around a piece of plastic that had the shape that I was looking for. And then I had a hat model mold to put it onto. Really hard, takes a lot of skill, not really teachable. So I didn't go the wet felting routine because I didn't like the results, and it's never going to be this then, ever. So fabrics. So I went to fabrics. You can see this is some of my failures, but I got the pattern almost the way I want it. And this one here is glue, is stiffening it up, and you could just see the glue all over the place. A little bit better. This is glue, and but it's not folding. It should fold this way. It's almost good, but you can see the glue. So my aliens didn't do well. Yeah, that was an early pattern. So after a while, I started getting better. I really like this one. That one came out great. Westernish. This was the aliens glue. You can't see the glue probably because of the fabric. So then I switched to like a Mod Podge. This one here, it's a little bit crooked. The top is a little bit crooked. Did the Mod Podge just on the brim. It's supposed to be matte, but it does leave this glossiness on it. Just be aware of that. If you don't like it, probably want to use something else. So this one here has the tip. This one is round. This one is round. It came out pretty good. Again, use the Mod Podge on it. That's an older one. But this is glue. I used glue on this one. Aliens Tacky Glue. It's acceptable. It won't really hold. I would have to train it, I think. But then I've got that plastic sticking up, so I'll leave it flat like that. That's still a cowboy hat. This one here was Mod Podge out of suede, and kind of got it off center. That's going to be the hardest part with this. So I recommend you stick with the round, which was my original. I did the round, and even then, that's almost in the back. That's going to be the hardest part, is getting your centered. Okay. And so this is the pattern, or this hat is what we're shooting for, this style. That's supposed to be this. Obviously that's stitches are too big, but you get the general idea. I made it my own. And this is the pattern. And so you have the round is going to be your easier one. and then you have two different ones that would make it more pointed in the front and round in the back, which is actually more like what this is. You have it's kind of egg in the back and then pointed in the front. The problem, of course, being that you have to get them exactly this way. I put a lot of dots in. You don't have to use them for fabric; they're unnecessary. But if you decide to use like suede or leather, you might find the dots a little help you. Not here, but here and here, with doing your closure in the back and sewing on your top. And this one here, it's obvious, but as you get better at it, you know, it's not quite as obvious on this one or on this one. And this one I glued, this is before I switched. So now it goes upwards. You glue this way so that you can't see, you can't see that, but now I'm rambling. Okay, so this is the round, and then this is the pointed, and then there's a semi-pointed in there as well. So those are 3 top styles. I kind of like the slightly pointed one. That's this one here. So you can pick the style you want for the hats we want. So I'll get started showing you assembly. Okay, so when cutting out the pattern, I would cut out on the outside of the line, so leave the line, and that way you have enough room to poke those holes for the suede. That doesn't matter with the fabric. And then you cut out the center. So like here, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that center out, and we need to leave all of those tabs there. Doesn't matter here, you can cut on the line or leave the line, but you want to cut all of those just like that, because that's what's going to hold it on to the band and the top of the hat. And then if you want that decorative detail, you can poke all those holes. It's up to you. I'm not going to do it on this one. So now I'm doing the holes, and yeah, it's a brand new mat, because the other one I had has got nothing but freight check all over it. Okay, so now we need a brown that's going to match this. And I seem to have better luck with thread matching and price with my embroidery thread. If you can't find matching, then you need to do contrast, so like you did it on purpose. Okay, so if you plan on shaping this so that it rolls, get yourself a piece of aluminum can or aluminum, and you want to pick the way the can is naturally rolling, okay? So you want long ways. See, that side is a little bit longer. That's longer. Don't do it this way. Nobody wears their hat rolled like that. So that's what you want. And I'm going to go ahead and carefully do a circle. And then we'll go ahead and suede. You can't put it on the outside. You have to put it on the underside of the brim. So I would recommend, because all we're doing is we're going to shape the brim with this. So you put your Mod Podge or whatever on it and get it shaped the way you want it shaped. So you can take, like in this case, I still have my Sharpie, and so I can roll this. And I go ahead and roll this side. And then when I'm ready to put the stuff on the hat, I can put it this way, get some, clamps, some little clamps to hold it, and let it dry in this position. So I would go ahead and do that now while you have your pieces out. Okay. All right. For a needle, you want something with a small eye, one strand, because we're trying to reduce bulk. And I'm gonna have a pair of pliers to help me get the pull it through the hole. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew our top and start by, so if it's fabric I would overlap this, but because we're using suede we want them side by side. So I don't like knots. So, and we will use a little bit of glue, but not for this part, except to keep my thread from floating away. I opened a new glue bottle. Okay, so now we're going to sew. It's a whip stitch. We're going to connect the band sides together. And that's what I'm doing here. It's just a whip stitch. Whip stitch is outside to inside and then inside to outside. So if your thread is on the outside, then go to the other side of the piece, push it in through the outside. If your thread is on the inside, go to the other piece and pull it around from the inside. Now in fabric, you can probably put the pieces right next to each other, whip stitch it both sides at the same time, but with suede, it's already so hard to get that needle through the holes because they're not very big holes. That's why I'm doing it one stitch at a time. I do an extra stitch to kind of secure it at the end, but I am going to tighten everything up nice and tight before I finalize that last stitch. There we go. Once that's done, then we can verify the thread's tight enough and start putting on the crown. Make sure you've got that egg end of if you're doing round, it doesn't matter, but if it's one of the other shaped ones, make sure you got the egg end centered in the top. That's important. And then we're going to continue doing the whip stitch. So, outside to inside, and then go to the other piece, and then it's inside to outside. I was just reopening the holes. Sometimes they like to close, and so I have to push the needle through to reopen them, to find them. Just the same thing, whip stitching. And here I'm just doing it one at a time. Good thing I have this sped up, because this could be boring. Okay, now once we get to the end, I can start doing 2 layers at a time. The holes are lining up really well, so I'm able to push through 2 holes like that. And only have a few more to go here, and there you can actually see that it's a whip stitch. So down to the other side, pull it through. So at any time you could stop and tighten up the stitches to make it more snug. I usually do that before I cast off at the end. Cast off is a crochet term, it just means finish it at the end. So got everything, and it's really my last stitch right there. A little bit of shaping, and then I will glue down that piece of thread on the inside to finish it. Now we're ready to add the brim. I'm going to glue all the way the inside of the crown, because we're going to do it all at once. This is suede, so you don't want to be, too excessive with the glue. I'm going to use that all, make sure I'm centered. The handle just kind of helped me. But we're going to glue it down all the way around. So I'm pushing on the inside with a finger. There we go. And last step is your Mod Podge, if that's what you want to do. You don't have to. Like I said, there's got to be something better that doesn't leave a shine, or I may put a clear coat, matte clear coat on it afterwards to see if that'll help. But this is just an option. I have a small piece of plastic that I think is going to help me keep that from sticking to the aluminum. It wasn't that big of a deal. So I'll put it on that plastic, put that on my form, and then clamp it down. And let it dry. Okay, so this has been on the form for about half an hour. Gives you the shape. I do think I need to pull some of this off the edges. I can trim that off. Yeah, I pulled that too tight, so there we go. That is your hat. It needs a band. All you need is a piece of ribbon, a piece of fabric, maybe with a buckle. So that's easy. But there you go. That's how you can make yourself a Western hat. Thank you for spending time with me today. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and have yourself a good day.